Hi, my name is Nathan Wood, Nathan Wood General Contractors and Renewable Energy Technologies. Going to talk a little bit about solar PV and kind of some things that you may want to know as you're looking at it and coming into it, and maybe talk a little bit more about how it affects the roof and how we address some of the concerns that Dean just talked about, and how we address some of the things that KIUC has talked about. So I think first and foremost, it's going to be important when you're selecting a contractor to evaluate licensing. Licensing is very important. People putting on PV need to have either a C60, which is a solar power systems license, or a C13, which is an electrical contractor's license. And you kind of evaluate that further as you get into roof penetrations and things like that. You're going to want to know that your contractor has experience in things other than just electrical. You're penetrating a roof, you're looking at structural aspects, you're looking at design, build, so you're looking for someone who can do all of those things properly. You're going to be doing applications with the utility, understanding their requirements along with all of the county codes and all the electrical codes. So who can benefit from solar PV? I think pretty much everybody can, to some extent. There's some very small users, which makes it difficult, only from a standpoint as the system size gets smaller, the cost per watt is going to increase, and at some point the financial benefit gets depleted. I think that point is pretty low. I mean, we install systems as small as 4 panels, for example, and that could be beneficial to a homeowner that has something like $80 a month bill. So it is possible, but you run the numbers, and it's a personal decision based on your tax liability, what your financial situation is, and what kind of return you're looking for with the system. Comes down to talking about what is the correct size solar system to install, and as a contractor, we look at a lot of different areas. You want to look first at the site, what's going to fit well on the home, aesthetically, what's going to fit well on a nice southern face. You're going to get proper production and the best use of your system. It's going to come down to trying to reduce your energy use first. We look at energy efficiency of all your appliances. You're going to want to look at improvements there with lighting and trying to reduce what you're consuming first before we look at installing PV to offset the remainder. On commercial front, we're looking at similar, mostly homeowners in the audience. We won't talk too much about that. Commercial buildings are nice because they use a lot of power during the day. With homeowners, you're looking at a day-night split, and Kathy talked a little bit about that, but during the day, you're producing power with your solar PV system, and that's feeding back into your home. It's powering your appliances, your loads there, and any excess is being sold back to the utility if you have any. And that's kind of a decision that you're going to have to make. We're very conservative in our designs. You're going to get your quickest return on investment by designing a system that will produce what your daytime load is. So basically take care of what you're using during the day and minimize your sellback. That's going to be your quickest return. And typically 3.5 years is a good straight line return on investment for a PV system. A nice tool that KIUC has come out with recently with their smart meters, or their standard meter, is a, I guess, what are you calling it? It's a My Meter, and basically what it is, it gives the homeowner access to see what their utility load is, what the time of day use is, and it allows us as a contractor to evaluate, what are you using during the day versus night. And that's a huge tool when we look at sizing your system. It's very important. Like Kathy said, sellback is a variable that is unknown. Right now, it's hovering around 22 cents. It may go down in the future. But by sizing your system to take care of your daytime load primarily first, maybe look at shifting some of your usage. Washing clothes, doing laundry during the day helps. Obviously looking beyond solar PV, if you have solar hot water, that's important to look at reducing your load, and then energy efficient appliances. So we're looking at all those areas when we look at sizing a system and making sure that you're not installing something that's too large where you won't get a good return on investment. So those are all areas that we look at and you should be thinking about when you're looking at putting in a PV system. Kathy talked a little bit about tax credits. The state has made some changes there lately, but the federal government has tax credits through 2016, and it's 30% of the system cost uncapped. So basically, whatever you pay for your system, 30% is coming back in a tax credit, as long as you have the tax liability. So that's something to consider. You want to talk to your accountant always when you're looking at investing in a PV system. It's important to kind of go through your numbers, what your taxes look like. The state has a 35% tax credit up to $5,000, and for most systems, you'll be able to benefit from that. If you're looking at taking care of your daytime load, you're going to maximize that state tax credit. That's another reason to size your system smaller. Just take care of what your daytime needs are. You maximize your state tax credits, and you'll end up with a 65% tax credit rather than something that may be less if you're beyond that cap. There is another option I don't think anybody mentioned as far as tax credits. The state offers a refundable tax credit, which amounts to about 21.5% of the system cost, and that's important for people who may not have tax liability. So if you don't have the tax liability to cover the credits, they do offer an option for you, and that is that refundable tax credit. So you'll be able to get 51.5% versus the 65%. The other thing I want to talk about is beyond panels and inverters. When you're talking to contractors, everybody wants to know what kind of panels you're installing, what's your inverters. I like to take that a little further. We're looking at a lot of components. There's a lot of steps in the process, and you want to make sure that you're thinking beyond just the big components there. Panels and inverters are fairly standardized, but you go down deeper. You're looking at the anchor points we talked about with Dean, how we're penetrating the roof. Those are key factors. Corrosion resistance. We're in a harsh environment. We got a lot of salt spray here. We have a lot of moisture and a lot of rain. So when we look at corrosion resistance, you want to make sure that components that are going in, even though they're stainless steel or aluminum, if you've been here long enough, you know that stainless steel on Kauai is not all made the same, and we want to look at high grades of stainless steel, 316 alloys, 18.8, things like that'll hold up in harsher environments, especially if you are near the coast. Anodized aluminum, you're going to want to look at high quality aluminum with good anodized coatings. Looking at attachment points. Structurally, you want to make sure that if you're putting it on a roof, that the roof can hold the weight. You want to make sure that it has the proper uplift design. So when we go through the designs for your system, we want to make sure that it has enough anchor points to meet all the county codes and withstand hurricane force winds. So that's kind of what you're looking at. Typical design is 120 mile an hour wind rating. That's kind of what we're typically shooting for. We've designed up to 180 miles an hour. It just depends on your location and what the needs are. We talked about pretty much everything. Maintenance is another key. You think about PV, you're going to put it on, and then what happens? The systems are fairly maintenance free if they're batteryless, or what we call grid tied. They're fairly simple. You have your panels, your inverters. You're going to interconnect into the grid, use the power. Any excess you're going to sell back. Battery-based systems take more maintenance, and you got to think about replacement costs and things like that down the road. So things to consider. Typically, you're going to get your best return on investment with a system that's sized to handle your daytime load, and look at the utility to handle some of your nighttime load. But that's we can go through the numbers, and you can kind of make an evaluation on what makes sense there. Beyond battery maintenance, you're going to be looking at keeping the panels clean to maximize the life of the panel. We're going to want to remove any salt spray. You're going to want to keep the dust off of the panels and make sure that you're maximizing your energy production. You're investing a lot of money in a system, and you want to know that it's going to be clean and optimized. And something that we do for our customers, we have annual maintenance programs, but we also do some educational processes that get into panel cleaning, where they can do some cleaning themselves on intervals that are more often than a year, and then also looking at making sure that they're taking a close look at their electric bills and making sure that everything's functioning fine. So I think that covers what I wanted to talk about, and I'm available back in my booth to answer any questions. We're right there in the front, and thank you very much.